For whatever reason, I always wanted to play in Madrid. Actually, and you know what's funny, Lil Bonz, his dad was my assistant coach at college, because you have to understand not only who you are as a player, but you have to understand what others think of you as a player.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of EurohooPOD, EuroHoop's official podcast. As usual, I'm Antonis Stroggylakis. I'm joined by my great colleague, Cesare Milanti. Buonasera, Cesare. I get that right. And the accent,
buonasera,
I hope.
Buonasera.
And our guest today, one of the best, full stop, in many ways. This guy started his career from domestic leagues in Europe, began climbing the ranks of European basketball until he made his breakthrough as the Final Four MVP 2014 with Maccabi Tel Aviv, leading the team to the championship title. He then won MVP and the title in EuroCup with Kimki, and when he jumped to the Basketball Champions League a couple of years later, you guessed right, probably, he won MVP again, this time with Broz Baberg. This is a guy that has won MVP in every major European competition. To this day, he remains also one of the just 10 players to have scored 40 or more in a EuroLeague game. Now, most of you probably guessed who I'm talking about, Tyrese Rice. Tyrese, hello.
How you doing? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being with us, Tyrese. And, let us catch up with you. What are your current whereabouts? What are you doing right now?
I'm actually in New York right now. I'm here working with the client. I have a client that plays on the Knicks, so I come here and do a little bit of work with him. More on the mental side. Sometimes we get on the court, but do a lot of mental performance stuff right now with guys that are, currently trying to elevate and take their game, to a different level. And to me, that's, more mental than anything. So putting myself out there to do that a little bit more right now. And I'm currently out here right now in New York with a couple guys. So been good.
What special things does a guy with a EuroLeague experience teaches to a guy in the USA? What are the different things that he can tell them in order to develop the game to become better? Perhaps what's that different perspective?
To probably appreciate everything that comes with the game and making sure that you are preparing yourself in the correct manner. And when we talk about appreciation, that's just, appreciating everything that comes with it, all the fundamentals of the game. And when I talk fundamentals, I don't mean just on the court, understanding off of the floor, understanding management, understanding coaching staffs. These are all fundamental things that that can help or hurt or be detrimental for guys. But when you understand it, you're aware of it, and you're able to show up in the right manner with the right energy and the right intention each day, then it makes it a lot easier for you to do your job. So that and preparing. A lot of guys now, they say they prepare, but they don't really, prepare in the manner that they need to in order to take their strides that's necessary in their career. So trying to help there with appreciating, why do you play it? Why do you love it? And how do you prepare? And when you prepare, are you working on the right things? And things like that. So that's the journey right now. That's what's been fun for me right now. It's good to learn about guys. Very good.
Communicating knowledge and experience that you gained from your run in Europe. We talked about it, and many people that are probably too young to watch you play live, to watch you win that Final Four with Maccabi and win the MVP, win the title, are going to find out in a different kind of way, because you are preparing something really, really interesting about your career. Can you tell us about it?
So right now, if you go back a few years ago, my mom was telling me that I should do a documentary. But it was very important for me not to just do a basketball documentary. And I knew that, once I finished, that I would be stepping into something new, in my life. At the time when we first talked about it, I wasn't sure what that was. But since I've retired, and honestly, in COVID is when I kind of found what it was that I really wanted to do, which was, mental performance and skill development with different players, different ages, all of that. So I wanted to make sure that in this documentary that it showed the progression of that. It showed the philanthropy. I do a lot of community events. I wanted to make sure all of these things were there, and then we'll go back and be like, okay, this is why, and show all the basketball stuff. I got so much basketball stuff. I mean, from when I was like 4, 5, 6 years old, all the way through my entire career. So I knew the basketball part would be easy. Like that's not my granddad and my mom and my grandmother, they used to record games when I was little. So I have all types of footage, like from everywhere in the backyard, rec leagues, playing around and stuff like that. And then obviously high school, college, and pro stuff is very easy to find. So I wanted to make sure I put together both things so people could understand the why. Why I did what I did, how how hard it was. Quite honestly, like that was very difficult for a 6 foot, 190-pound guard to have to figure this out. At each level.
Many people don't realize that.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult. A lot of tough times, a lot of rough times. So I wanted to make sure that everybody understood my passion for ball is what led me into the lane that I'm in now, which is impacting guys.
And if I'm not mistaken, the last time you hooped competitively at a certain competitive level was what? In the TBT in 2021? When
TBT.
MVP that year?
Yeah, TBT. That wasn't the last time, though. I played last summer as well. We lost in the 16, in around the 16. Close game to Marshall, actually. We had a really good chance, but they had a good team that year as well. They went to the Final Four, I believe. So yeah, that's my only real competitive. That's my little competitive shot that I take, each year just to kind of calm it down. Like, all right, give me a little, take me a shot of the TBT, and I get my competition in there.
Do you miss it?
I miss playing. I miss playing. I don't necessarily miss the practices and the traveling and
the drama. Like Dennis Rodman would say,
I don't really
we get paid for the drama. We don't get paid for playing.
Yeah, I don't miss that. But I mean, well, I guess so. Yeah, I probably do because, it's a part of the game. I was talking about fundamentals of the game, and this is a fundamental space of the game. You have to understand how to navigate this as well. So it kind of all comes with the game. So if you love the game, then you got to appreciate every facet of it because it could be really bad, but then if it's going well, it could be something that you never thought. So, you got to appreciate both sides.
Yeah, most of the times, especially old guys, for example, Marcelinho Huertas comes to my mind, and he always says, I always love practicing, and it's rare to hear that, with such a longevity, you still want to practice every day and stuff like that. So
some others miss the locker room. Yogurt Peters, for example, says I miss the locker room camaraderie, stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's different.
Man, practice, with Marcelinho, first of all, shout out to him for his longevity because it's amazing to see, just how he moves around the court still. I love to see that from him and Chacho and Sergio Llull, just to see these guys. They're my age, but older. Me and Sergio Llull are the same age, but Chacho and Marcelinho are definitely older than me. So to see them out there at a high level still, that's amazing. But that practice aspect, I was one of those guys that enjoyed practice, because for me, that's where you figured everything out. Like if you could figure it out in practice, the game was easy. But if you can't figure out practice, then, you're going to go on a roller coaster all the time. Yeah, it's going to be a roller coaster because your talent can only do so much. So practice was good, especially in Europe.
After ending your professional career overseas, you, if we are not mistaken, you completed Master in Psychology in 2020, in 2022. And you said that you wanted to do so to understand people, why they think the way they do, so that you can help them. And through your organization, Trusted Legacy, you are doing so. So can you tell us more about that side of yourself, and what have you done since retiring for helping the community, especially in the US?
Good. So I got into psychology, like you said, for that understanding, to be able to, and actually to be able to put words on what I understood, on what I knew, and what I felt. You kind of do things sometimes, and you do it out of reaction, or you do it because it feels right, but you can't really explain, what it was or why you did it or how you did it. And I think I know that going through this master's program, it helped me be able to articulate and connect, especially basketball, but just all life situations with other situations as well, because, people overcome so much adversity and are able to show up through so many things, and they can't really understand why, because they can't pinpoint, what they actually did, or they don't think about what they actually did. So, that was always a real calling for me, because I understood what I was going through and overcoming, but I could not really put words on it. So I went and got my master's in psychology to help me with that. I began to work with, different players all over the place. But one of the things that I love doing more than all of that is the camps and the community stuff with the kids, and giving back to the homeless, and having food drives, toy drives, backpacks, books, like just kind of just feeding everything in that I learned and that I was able to gain back into the communities that really need it, or that may not have the opportunities, that I had or that somebody else will have. So just trying to create another lane where they can see somebody who came from what they came from and look like them, and be able to show like, hey, you don't have to be, some 6'7", 6'8", huge personality. You don't have to be that in order to make an impact. You can literally do it the way that you want, as long as your intention and your heart and your reasons are in the right place. Your purpose is in the right place. So that's what made me kind of go back and go to school and figure more things out, because I just wanted to make an impact.
I assume that these are also some of the things that you will touch on the documentary.
Without a doubt. And that's why I want to wait for some time before I do it, because I have some programs that I have put together. I started a children's book series that's on its third book right now. It's going to be 8 books. They're actually all written. I'm just getting them published and stuff like that right now. So, I just want to show, all the wide range of things that can be done. Really with the idea of somebody else coming up behind me and doing something that I couldn't even imagine. So it's really, I really understand that what I'm doing right now, it may not be something that's actually for me, or something that I actually, blow up doing. It may be something that somebody sees, and then they come up and do something I could have never even thought of. So it's outside of me, and I appreciate that. Serving the community is part of my life. Is a part of me.
For those who don't know, for example, I'm watching it right now. Trey and the Streets of Israel, right? Is one of the
that's one. Yeah,
lovely cover. Really lovely cover.
Yeah. And the new one now. The newest one is Trey and the German Voyage, Germany. So I it's 8 books because I played in 8 countries. So the first one was Greece. This one was Israel. I mean, the last one was Israel. This one is Germany. The next one I think will be Spain. I can't remember which one book for is, but it's Spain, Montenegro, China, Lithuania, all these places. So
to conclude this discussion about the documentary, any ideas about titles or not so far?
Not yet. I have no idea, honestly. I kind of was thinking maybe Road Less Travel, but I know there's a couple books and stuff that are, that's named that. So I also want to come with something very original before I just kind of throw something out there. So not a real idea yet, but it'll come to me when it's time. That's the last thing I'll be worried about, honestly.
Yeah,
Because
that will be the
you can
easy
rack
part.
your
If
brain
you have
trying to
the
find a
right
travel.
material, then the good idea will come up eventually, I think, for the head.
It'll come. Yeah, it'll come for sure.
And Tyrese, while you stopped playing pro basketball overseas, you haven't stopped watching and following the action, especially in the EuroLeague. We see you tweeting, especially about some stuff that is occurring. So, did you catch up recently with what's happening? Especially last night, we were recording on Friday, and last night we witnessed great win by Maccabi Tel Aviv over Panathinaikos. Did you manage to watch that?
No, I didn't see that one. Like I said, I was on the road and kind of, moving around. Well, still on the road. I leave in a couple of hours, but I wasn't able to see what happened this week. But I was able to see, what had been going on prior to that, the log jam that it always is. Each and every year, there's that 5 through 11 where it's like, all right, every game matters. Saudi, great for the new format for producing that, year in and year out. There are high level games that they're basically must win games, every week. So I have been able to follow up until then, and I know that Maccabi Panathinaikos is big because they were both close in the standings. I'm not sure what it is right now, but I know that they were close last time I saw.
Yeah. Well, the important thing for Maccabi was that they did the regular season sweep, and they are not tied right now. Maccabi has one win less, but that may be decisive. That regular season sweep.
Yeah.
When all is said and done.
Panathinaikos turned it around though. They were struggling early.
Yeah, they had 4 wins.
They were struggling early.
And last night, they didn't have players. Lucas was out, Vildoza was out. Kendrick Nunn had to exit the game at some point. It was difficult for them to match.
Oh wow!
Maccabi.
From injuries or sickness or what?
He hurt himself. They say it's not serious. Thank God for Kendrick Nunn, but he had to stop playing, so they couldn't keep up. I mean, they only had Jerry and Grant, I think, and that was it.
Yeah. Is Kendrick Nunn still there, or did he leave?
No, still Panathinaikos. Kendrick Nunn.
He's still there. Okay. Yeah, I was saying, you see the little rumors or whatever. I didn't know if he was on a contract that was for the duration of the season, or was it monthly, or I wasn't sure.
No, it's for the duration. Kendrick Nunn also recently told EuroHoops that he has a lot of reasons to consider staying at Panathinaikos also. After the season is over, of course, players like Kendrick Nunn also have the priority for them is to return to the NBA. One way or another, for a good opportunity. But you experienced it yourself. If you live in a city like Athens, you get paid a good deal of money.
Yeah,
your family has
lifestyle.
a great time there. Then you have a good role on the team. You have an important role on the team, and Kendrick Nunn has a very important role on Panathinaikos. Then these things from one point onward, they counter the balance, and they may win over a return to the NBA.
Yeah. I mean, you fall in love with basketball again. Being in Europe and playing in those high level games with those crowds and the passion and the physicality, like everything. Like it's like we're here to win. We're not here to showcase. We're not here to see who can get a double-double, triple-double, or score 50. Or it's about winning. It's about winning. It's about doing all the small things and everything in basketball it takes to get wins. And you also see how difficult that is. Playing in Europe is very difficult to win, especially when you go on the road. The pressure you get from home, especially playing in a place like Athens as well. It's not easy. It's not for everybody.
And there's a lot of pressure by the fans. Yeah, you know it firsthand.
Oh yeah. If you're not mentally, tough or prepared, to go out there and night in and night out, you never really know what you're gonna get from the fans. You don't know how they're gonna react to you. You miss a couple of shots, and it could it could get a little, it could get a little nerve wracking out there if you're not prepared for it. So I think Europe is a good time, especially for a guy like Kendrick Nunn, to be able to fall in love with the game again and fall in love with the things that really matter in the game again. And who knows, if he stays, he stays. But I think he's experiencing something that he probably thought he would never experience again, probably.
True that.
For sure. And this may sound like a hot take to somebody, but I do personally see some similarities between Maccabi's team in 2014, that legendary Maccabi team, and this year's Maccabi. If we talk about the backcourt duo, of course, you Enrique Hickman this year, Lorenzo Brown, Wade Baldwin. Then we have a two-way guy like Bonzie Colson with Devin Smith. We have pick and roll big men like Josh Nebo this season and Tyus that season. So I do personally see some similarities. Do you see it that way? Do you believe? What do you think of this team, of this Maccabi team?
Well, looking at it from the outside, looking at it, there are a lot of similarities. They have multiple guys, that can play pick and roll. They have guys that can close games. They have wings that can have big games. And, having that lob threat is always a thing when you have good guards, because now you open up the floor for them, you give them more options, they get more space.
Right.
And eventually they'll be able to, kind of impose their will on the games. And that's usually what they do with that backcourt. It's a lot of production coming out of that backcourt. And it's efficient as well. So that's very important also. So I definitely see that. I'm not in the locker room, but actually, and what's funny, Bonzie, little Bonds, his dad was my assistant coach in college.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've known Lil Bond since he was like 8 or 9 years old. So it's funny to see him, in a Maccabi jersey. So as he went there, I was like, I sent him a message and we talked briefly. But yeah, man, I've known Lil Bonds. I've seen Lil Bonds' whole career, his whole
One of the
life,
best
pretty
forwards in
much.
Europe right now.
Since he was a kid. Yeah,
Yeah,
very good, man. Very
doing great.
good, and figuring it out, getting better and better. So yeah, a lot of similarities.
Speaking about similarities, last week we had Paris basketball guard TJ Short on the episode, and he's now he's also at a moment in his career where he's climbing the ranks. He won the MVP, the basketball Champions League last season, and the title. Now he's considered the favorite to win MVP in the Euro Cup. Who knows? Next season he may play in EuroLeague. Who knows what he might do?
Yeah.
When we asked him if there are any players that he looks up to, he immediately said your name, because you aren't the tallest of guards, both of you, and he studies your game, studies the way that you could beat bigger opponents, the way you were using the floater, your dribbles, everything. How do you feel when you're hearing up and coming stars of European basketball speaking about you?
I'm grateful. I'm just grateful. It's honestly, I don't even know, really what to say. I'm just really grateful that I was able to do some things on a basketball court that people were able to take with them. Especially being that my game is not crazy athletic, it's not crazy fast, it's, on pace, figuring out, deep positions, a real studying, a lot of studying going on. For me as a player, I had to figure out so many different things because I really didn't have any advantages. My advantages was my skill, but being able to go out there and apply that against bigger guys took a whole nother level of studying. So for him to, say that he, watched my game and studied my game, is, it's really twofold, because one, I did a lot of studying myself. So for him to say that he's watching and stuff like that, that means he's doing a lot of studying himself. So it's, it's so much more than just, what we do the same on the court. It clearly we doing some similar things off the floor too. And he has the mentality and it shows. He's big in big moments. He's won. He embraces winning. From what it looks like and from what it seems like in the conversations that we've had, he's a good teammate. He's a good guy. And, he approaches the game the right way. So, just a lot of love, and very grateful, for him to, have those words and say that he watched me in that manner.
And as you said, of course, TJ is kind of following the right path. And preparing for this episode, we catch up with a tweet that you made, I think 1 year ago or something like that, in which you said message for my young hoopers coming through the game. Don't chase the money, chase the situation, establish yourself, and discover yourself. So when did you really discover yourself all throughout your career? Is there a specific moment in which you really found out, okay, I can be this and that, and yada yada?
I think the biggest moment for me was in Maccabi, because it was such a roller coaster of a year. People look at the end of the season and what I was able to do in like the last two months of the season, and they think that that's indicative of how the whole year went, when that it wasn't even close to that. I just, I learned a lot about myself. I leaned on, my support, family, things like that. But I also had amazing teammates. Like the guys on that team, we still have a group chat to this day, and we're talking in a group chat 2-3 times a week. Joe Ingles, Devin Smith, Sil Landisberg, Sean James, Rick Hickman. We're all literally, I could pull it up right now and show it to you. You can see some messages from probably yesterday in there.
That's amazing to still have this relationship after so much longer. It's amazing.
Yeah, amazing. To me it felt like, it almost felt like high school. Like we were always together. We went to eat all the time together. Like it was so many factors that helped me along the way. And so with that message, I wanted guys to just understand that, it's not always going to be set up for you. It's not always going to be to your advantage. You're not always going to be in situations where you can just go and do what you want and everything's just going to be okay. There's a lot of adversity that comes with the game. There's a lot of discovery that comes with the game, because you have to understand not only who you are as a player, but you have to understand what others think of you as a player. And then you figure out how you put those things together, and then you become a Mike James, or you can become a Malcolm Delaney, or you can become one of these guys, a Kyle Hines, or something like that, and be able to really build your career in a way that you probably couldn't even imagine in the first place. But if you're going out there and you're just looking for the highest amount of money all the time, you're going to put yourself in some situations that aren't really to your advantage. And we see it a lot. Guys talk about going to get, I want to go get the bag. I want to go get the bag. I'm like, yeah, you can, but if you chase it, you're gonna get to a point where it's just gonna kind of just stay. You're not gonna elevate. It's not gonna go down, which is okay. It's okay. But if you're looking to really take those steps, then you're gonna have to choose a situation over money, probably more than once. I know I did that probably 3 or 4 times. So it's it's a lot to process, and it's a longevity play. You're not really thinking year to year. You're thinking in the next 4 or 5 years, like, where do I want to be? What's going to put me in those right situations? That's how it was for me.
Considering the lesson you got from your long career, and of course the longevity and all the experiences you went through, which EuroLeague team of the current EuroLeague would you be interested to join if you were still a player? Mentioning all factors like maybe coach, teammates, environment,
memories, of course, everything.
Yeah. Ooh.
The Tyrese Rice
teams come to mind.
The Tyrese Rice of 2015. Let's say that he's around the peak of his career, 2015. He will play awesome basketball. Yeah. Just drop it.
Probably Madrid.
That you would drop right now.
Probably Madrid. Madrid. For whatever reason, I always wanted to play in Madrid. But I always felt like it would be like a pretty good fit. I thought that I would be able to show things in my game that people probably didn't know. That probably didn't know about me. I think a lot of people, as I got to around 2015, 2016, and being, a main guy on teams, you probably get the feeling that, he's very ball dominant and all these different things, when in reality, I would love to be out there with 6 or 7 guys that can, take over a game. That makes that make it easier for me. Like that's how, like, you know, like that's how I looked at it. And that was why, you know, I thought our Maccabi team was so special because, you know, we had so many guys. Like it just, you didn't have to go out there and get 20 every night. You didn't have to even try to go out there and do that. Some nights you might have 8, but you play good defense, you move the ball, you got some assists, get some steals, you know, things like that, and you win the games. And that's, you know, that's Madrid. You know, we only saw one example of Madrid have a guy that just went out there and just did, you know, whatever he wanted night in and night out. And we know where that guy is right now. Talking about Luka, we know what that is
Luka.
Right now.
Certainly, even when Luka played, for example, in that final, I don't know if you remember, it was the X factor was Fabien Cesare, an unlikely, perhaps, protagonist of that game.
Yeah.
That's what the team does.
Shout out to Fabien too, man. A lot of longevity for Fabien as well. Just always figured it out. Everywhere he went, he figured it out. Regardless if it started well or whatever, he figured it out. And now he's been in Madrid for, I mean, I don't even know how many years now. 8 years, something like that, maybe. Yeah, he's been there for a while now. But always ready. Another one of those guys that always stay ready. So you could tell that, you know, he prepares and, you know, he's, you know, whatever you ask of him, he's gonna go out there and do it. You need me to go score? Okay. I give you 8 straight points, 10 straight points, whatever you need, ready for the moments. I appreciate things like that.
You said something. You mentioned some names, Mac James and Malcolm Delaney. And I have to ask you something because it has been a question and a bit of a debate last season. As you know, the EuroLeague picks the MVP out of players who make the Final Four. It's a sort of an unwritten rule. It's not an official rule or anything like that. But every MVP so far is of teams that made the Final Four. Of course, it's a voting system, but we haven't seen a player from a non-Final Four team become MVP. Do you think that this is correct? Do you think that maybe the players should be, also picked out of players out of teams who not necessarily make the Final Four, but have a standout, maybe special season?
Yeah, I think it's based on criteria, and also, is it a regular season award, or are we, talking about the playoffs as well?
It's EuroLeague MVP, and it considers the whole season and also the playoffs. That's it.
And the playoffs. So if we base it off that, then the last couple each year the EuroLeague MVPs are correct. But if we're basing it off of value to a team, then I think then you can have some different conversations. Especially if that team still makes it to the playoffs. If that team still makes it to the playoffs and they perform well in the playoffs, but they don't win, that doesn't necessarily tell you who should be, the MVP or not. I think it's value. I look at MVP as a value award. So if you take this guy off the team, what happens to their team? Are they still, pretty good? Do they fall off a cliff? Is it over for them? For me, that's MVP. That'll tell you who your MVP is. If you take him off this team, can they still win?
Yeah.
And if your answer is clearly no, then it's, there you go. Yeah, it's like, well, there you go. But I also understand, and, not just understand, but, accept the fact that winning matters, because winning does matter. And if this guy is the best player on a top 2, like you said, a Final Four team, then I got no argument for you.
For example, I got to talk a bit about. I got some heat on Twitter last season when I tweeted that if Partizan makes the Final Four and Kevin Pader, for example, averages 30 in the playoffs, should he take the MVP from Sasha Vezenkov? That's tricky, because Sasha Vezenkov has that tremendous regular season. But what if a guy like Kevin Pader has this amazing playoff run, and also considering what he did in the regular season, and
he was close.
He did Partizan over Real Madrid.
Yeah. You see what happened when they suspended him for them 2 games, which was, in my opinion, it was bullshit. But okay, you suspend him for 2 games. You can't. Come on now. I'm not going. That's all I'm gonna say there. I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that there. But you take him away, and you kind of see what happens. Obviously, he was able to come back for Game 5, but a game 5 against Madrid. I've been in one of those in a winner take all game, 2 winner take all games against Madrid, and one, we lucked around and got one, and the other one it didn't go as well. So I know how that can be, but also Sasha had an amazing year. It's kind of hard
MVP, no question about it.
It was very hard to not give him, the MVP, because he played great. He's always been one of my favorites. I got a lot of pushback. I believe I was in Panathinaikos, and I said that I put him in my top 5 Europe guys. They was like, "Oh, you got to choose a 4-man," and I was like, "All right, Sasha Vezenkov." And guys were like, "Sasha Vezenkov? Like, why would you pick him? Such and such." And 2 years later, he's first team All EuroLeague. A year after that, he's the MVP of EuroLeague. And I'm telling people, I'm like, I knew that he would be something. I didn't know if he would be MVP. I wasn't sure of that. But I knew that he was going to be a good player because he does the work. He's in the gym. He's working hard. He's practicing hard. He's got the right intention behind what he does. And I was able to experience that. We were together in Barcelona, so I was able to see that, up close and and this was this was when he was, still figuring it out. But a guy that works hard like that, eventually it'll take a turn for him, especially when a coach believes in him. And Coach Barsokas definitely believed in him, and he gave him the opportunity that he needed. So that was like a really good match as well. Yeah. Because if he's somewhere else, maybe he doesn't get this opportunity like that.
Yeah, we had Petteri also on board on the show, and he told us exactly the same thing, that you could see the hard work from Sasha. You could see, and we're talking about a difficult Barcelona season back then.
Very difficult.
For several reasons, for many players. I mean, you had this problem for Barcelona. You were sidelined from one point onward. Petteri almost died, as he told us. The team had injuries. Yeah. So weird, that team.
It was a crazy season.
Yeah, and for a young player like Sasha to be able to overcome the fact that he's not playing, because he also went there with big aspirations after winning MVP in the Greek league, and he didn't manage to play, etc. But he was working hard. That's big.
Yeah, most definitely. His mind was always in the right place, even when it wasn't going his way or our way, honestly, because it wasn't going any of our ways, while we were out there. So for him to continue to show up, and continue to put that work in, and just, be the person that he is, you could tell that, these habits and these consistencies and this discipline that he had is just him. It wasn't something that he was necessarily trying to do. It was just like, this is who I am. Like, I'm gonna go out here, I'm gonna put my work in, I'm gonna show up the right way, and this is what you're gonna get from me. And so, like I said, having a coach like Barsokas that saw that and appreciated that and believed in him, is big time for him in his career.
So we talked about MVPs, best basketball player, EuroLeague wise, but we wondered who's the best at using Twitter, man, because Aaron Jackson told us back in the day.
Easy.
Oh, Mike, yeah, easy.
Aaron Jackson used to tell us that he has the best Twitter game by far. Aaron Jackson used to tell us that.
Now, Aaron was hilarious too on Twitter, because he'll say whatever he feels as well.
I remember a specific tweet that he said to a fan that was harassing him, and it was pretty much not safe for work. They would probably demonetize us if we put that on Twitter, on YouTube. He didn't give any beep. He just said what he
did. Yeah.
But who has Mike? Mike is the best on the Twitter game.
Yeah, I think Mike, because Mike doesn't mind the controversy. He doesn't mind. He actually embraces that, and I believe, and this is just my perspective. Although obviously this is a friend of mine, but this is just what I think. I believe that he does it in order to give him, more motivation to go out there and do what he does on the basketball floor. So, because he knows gonna get some pushback. He knows, somebody's gonna say something at some point, and he doesn't mind. But at this point in his career, I believe he's maybe 10 or 11 years in. You gotta find some different motivations, and I think that's his.
And Mike also uses the platform as other players, but I think he's particularly, precise on that. He uses the platform also for making analysis on the game, on teammates, on opponents. And we saw one of that a few days ago when EuroLeague posted something about who's the best defender to kind of keep your team afloat late in the game. And so considering the fact that teams back in the days when you were playing in the EuroLeague usually threw their best defender on you, who was the best player you faced in that aspect?
Oh man,
that's a tough one because it's a long list, I think.
yeah, I played against some really good defenders. Oh man, Hackett is definitely one of them. Campazzo is definitely one of them. So when I saw those two guys, on the list, I agree with that 100%. I would put Nick on there, Kalaitis. I would put Nick there.
Okay.
I can't remember. Oh man, my guy's name. He played in Ike. I played against him in the Champions League. He played in Ike. He also played in Panathinaikos for a couple years.
You're gonna be curious.
Man,
I can't think of the name right now.
You
faced him with that, or he was?
I cannot think of his name. No, I played against him. No, I played against him. I played against him when we were in. I can't. St. Ruth. St. Ruth.
Oh, Howard St. Ruth. Yeah.
St. Ruth. Howard St. Ruth. Yeah,
He's killing it in Murcia. He's killing it in Murcia this season in the BC.
Nice. Good. Nah, he was always tough because he's very athletic, and very twitchy. Could react really well, and he was one of those guys that even if you beat him, you didn't really beat him. Like you get past him, but he's still there somewhere. You had to figure it out. So like Mike, and I think this is one thing that guys don't get enough credit for. And I'm glad that he actually did that on this platform. But we actually study guys and prepare for them and have to figure out what the advantages are. So not only are we trying to figure out our advantages for ourselves, but we're watching guys defensively and seeing what are their tendencies. Can he slide left? Can he slide right? Do I attack him straight away? Do I do anything east-west first? Do I need to use ball screens? Do I need to play off the ball? St. Ruth is one of those guys that I watched. I played against him so many times. And when I had success against him, it was more me playing off of the ball and moving.
Yeah,
those are my most successful games against him. Whenever I played with the ball in my hands and he was just able to dial in, that's when he had success against me. So just different guys. Campazzo was the same way. I had to move him around. I had to get him to run off screens because he's great getting through screens, things like that. So when you have these good on-ball defenders, cutting you off, he's physical and he's shorter than me, which is not normal. It's not normal for guys to be shorter than me out there. So that was
very strong as well. He's very strong.
Very strong.
Even taller guys, they can't post him. They can't post him up.
No. Very strong. And he plays with his body. Argentinian, man, them guys tough. We know what those guys are. We know what that is. So yeah, you have to figure out all these different nuances to be successful. So I was glad to see Mike even break it down like that because the casual fan, they don't understand how much, effort and work and preparation that guys actually do. You only see what people put on Twitter and you see the game. That's it. Like you don't see anything else. Like you have no idea what's really going on, behind the scenes. So, I always appreciate when guys go out there and they break it down in that aspect because now it's like, oh, actually he is preparing for the game or actually he is, doing these things. If you could talk about the game in detail like that, you can only do that because if you watch a film, it's not just coming up on the top of your head.
For sure. And we also wanted to address with you we wanted to talk about USA basketball, considering, of course, the amount of experience you also had in FIBA basketball playing for Montenegro. Mm-hmm. And USA recently published like a 41-man pool for the Olympics, which is stacked. It's full of great legendary names. But we wanted to kind of make a game with you. So let's say that you must make the roster for the Olympics or for the World Cup or for whatever competition for USA basketball, but you also have to insert 3 guys from the EuroLeague. Who are your choices?
to play with USA basketball.
Yeah.
Along with the USA guys, and then 3.
Exactly. Because like the fact is that most of the American guys, especially the guys who play overseas, for example, I had a conversation about it with Jordan Lloyd, and he told me the fact is that, you know, we EuroLeague guys, we can be effective knowing FIBA game better than the games from the NBA. Not in terms of talent, of course. We can't compare talent with Paul George, LeBron James, Steph Curry, but we know how things work in that aspect. So if you have some names in mind that could be impactful, especially maybe some names that could have been great in the recent FIBA World Cup, because I mean that was kind of delusional from USA.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think the USA team, they got to bring the tryouts back. Those, like when them guys going out there actually competing against each other, and you got to go out there and figure it out. I think when you just hand the keys to guys, there's a certain amount of comfort that comes with that. When it's like, I know what be on the team.
You can't put certain names on the trial. I mean, you can't.
Why not?
LeBron, you can put LeBron James on the trial.
I'm putting everybody in there. How it was before. Kobe was in there. D Wade was in there. Like KD was in there. Everybody was at the tryout. I mean, obviously you knew who they were, but they all in there. That's why they had the select team. You know, that's why they had the Kyries come in, you know, at the time, and that's why they have the Steph Currys come in on the back end. You got to put them on
there. There was some NBA veteran, Gilbert Arenas, said the same thing, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly. Yeah. Possibly, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you have to. I mean, you get you separate the ones who really want to be in it and the ones who are really there for the right reasons, which is the only reason is to be there is to win a gold medal and not there to showcase, you know, what you can do, because this is a league now where it's almost more about showcasing what you can do as an individual instead of winning. But you eliminate all of that when you put all these guys in the gym and it's like, hey, this is a tryout. We're taking the top 12 or 13, you know, whatever 15, you know, whatever it is that you're taking. And we're going to figure it out. Obviously, there's going to be some guys in there that know they're going. Bron know he's going. KD know he's going. Steph knows he's going. If Embiid decides to show up, he's going. But honestly, it's really only 6 or 7 guys that's like, they're going, you know, and the other 5 spots, oh, yeah, we got to get in there. We got to get in there and figure this out. You got to put the best of the best out there, and the ones that really want to be there, the ones that's really willing to sacrifice themselves. You know, it's not about you going out there and getting 20. Ain't about that. D Wade was out there, Jason Kidd, CP3. You got all these Hall of Fame guys. They out there playing roles. Darren Williams, you know, all these different guys. They playing Westbrook, Harden. You know, you got to play a role. Yeah. You got to play a role because it's not about what you actually do in this. It's about winning a gold medal. So do what it takes to win a gold medal. But when you just kind of hand it to guys, it's a certain comfort that comes with that, in my opinion.
If you have to add some EuroLeague guys, who would they be?
I would add Mike. You need a playmaker and a dynamic. You need a dynamic guard and a playmaker.
Okay.
Wow.
Maybe some glue guy.
That's what I was thinking about, actually, because
a great defender.
And the first person that came to my mind was Cal. But probably Cal in his prime. Cal's still out there and can still do it. He gonna go out there and still figure it out, especially with the USA team. But Cal is just one of those guys that he just knows how to win. He knows what it takes to win. He's selfless.
Man, Cal Hines could just talk to these guys on the USA team about the game, and he would contribute. Just talking to them.
Correct.
I mean, a contribution.
Cal don't say much. Cal doesn't say much, but when he talks, you listen. It's, you know, when he does speak up, you know, he does. I'm actually glad to see him doing more, you know, talking now with his, you know, the podcast and working with EuroLeague, and you know, you get to see more of his mentality and his thoughts and his approach, and just his knowledge of the game. And he's got so much experience as well, because people don't know Cal was getting 40 in college. Cal was killing in college. Like he was killing in college. Like I saw Cal get 42 or 17 one time in college. Like this ain't like, so he understands what it is to sacrifice himself and get lost in the team.
Sure. Yeah.
And be one of the guys and show up the right way. So I think you need that. You need that as well. And man, a third guy, I'm trying to think of a wing. Wow. I can't think of a wing right now.
Bonzie.
I'm trying to think of a wing.
Bonzie,
honestly, that was the first name that came to my mind was Bonzie.
James Nunnally could be a great 3-and-D addition.
Nunnally would be good. Yeah, I like Nunnally. Clyburn. Will would be very good.
You know one name that comes to my mind is Nigel Davis.
Yeah.
Could be
his versatility would be really good.
Yeah.
Can guard, 1 through 5. Tall, athletic kid has been shooting it much better.
Yeah.
You can see the development of his game, and I like seeing that. Like Will was another one of those guys that I enjoyed seeing, the development of their game. If you see Will when he was at home, it was a lot of up and down. You saw the athleticism, you saw the talent, but once he was able to start slowing that down and playing a little more methodically and understanding that he could get wherever he wanted to get on the floor, and especially in this time with in Russia, when he was able to kind of just blossom into, the best wing in the game. Quite honestly, probably the best wing in Europe for years. Yeah, he was the best wing in Europe for years. Probably still one of the top wings. So, to see his game evolve, in the way that it did, I like seeing that. That shows you that guys are working at what they do.
So to conclude this discussion, and because wow, we'll be talking for an hour, it has been great. We don't want to.
Man, I didn't even realize that.
That's great. That's quite a compliment. We're going to put it on a trailer. We're going to send it to other people who I asked to join the show. I will give them that. So you talked about trials. So in cases like the World Cup, where the superstars may want to skip the World Cup, because let's be honest, the superstars in the NBA, the NBA superstars no longer care about the World Cup. They care about the Olympics. That's the goal. That's the big thing for them. Do you think that USA basketball, because that's basically what Cesare also was asking, what Jordan Lloyd said, do you think that in these trials, USA basketball should start considering EuroLeague players? Because you talked about trials, but if USA basketball relaunches the trial thing, they will probably only invite NBA players. Should they consider inviting EuroLeague players?
I think they should have always considered, some EuroLeague guys, especially just understanding knowledge of the game alone, especially when you have guys who can articulate, what's going on, have the experience. So yeah, I think without a doubt, but quite honestly, to me, these guys, the guys who are playing in the Olympics or want to play in the Olympics, they should have to play in the World Cup as well. Because again, we want to know who's actually trying to be here, actually trying to win something. It's easy for everybody to show up for the Olympics. The Olympics in Paris, who don't want to go to Paris and play? Who don't want to do that? Like,
the ceremony and
Yeah, come on now. Like this isn't hard. This not hard to get excited for. Like it's not hard to get excited for that. But the main goal is to show that the U.S. and the Americas are the top, and in order for you to show that, you have to come out there. You got to do it in the World Cup. You got to do it in the Olympics. It has to be a part of what you do. And it always takes for guys to take a couple of losses, and then the chatter starts, and then guys like, nah, we going out here to play. Like, nah, why we waiting on that? Send them like, come on, let's go out here and do it all the time, because the game is changing, and it is changing rapidly. And these guys from other countries, they are on the way. Let me not say that, they're here. It's here, and it's going to continue to evolve. And very shortly, the NBA game will probably be 50% foreigners and 50% Americans. So people got to pay attention to this, because it's happening. We got some stars in the game are all from other countries. It's not all, but a lot of them, the top the Giannis,
in the MVP conversation, they are all international players. Joel,
all international
European
guys.
players mostly.
Yeah, from Shea to Joel to Giannis to Jokic, Luka. These are all the guys from outside of the United States. So if guys are paying attention, then you need to realize that the game is changing, and it's changing right in front of our eyes. And if you want different, you got to be different.
Tyrese, thank you for this tremendous discussion. Thank you for giving us a peek of your thoughts and your ideas, your everything that you say is always so interesting to hear, so illuminating to think about hoops. Every hoops related topic. It was great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys for having me. Thank you.
Tyrese Rice, who I don't know. It's too early to say. Pay attention for the upcoming documentary, but. Maybe because ideally I'd like the show to finish like that. Pay attention to the upcoming documentary coming in a theater near you or something like that. Make it like
we'll say that for the next one. We'll do another one, and then By the time we do the next one, it'll be okay. Here we go. We got some stuff in the works.
It will begin with the trailer. So yeah, Tyrese Rice, everyone, a EuroLeague star in his playing days, MVP everywhere, as we said in the prologue. We appreciate you, Tyrese. Thank you.
Thank you.
And from Cesare Milanti, Cesare, grazie. As always, I will pop up my Italian game, hopefully.
we improve week by week.
Yeah, word by word. And from Antonis, and of course, Tyrese Rice. Thank you, everyone. Take care. You can find our podcast, as always, on Spotify and the video version of it on YouTube.
See you next week. Antonis, let me say one thing. If you really appreciate our talks with legendary figures like Tyrese, rate our podcast there. Give us those 5 stars because they're really helpful for us.
Exclusively 5 stars. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care and enjoy. Farewell.
See you guys.